Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Want to thank you for tuning into the vault. This episode is 11th hour transfer mentality. Episode 600, 700 flat. Really excited and thankful for welcoming in the new calendar year. Already on day two, so it's less than 365 days for you to display your greatness in this particular chapter of your life. If you think about this year, it's considered a chapter. But we're going to talk about some of the stories that we have from the last chapter, where people are looking to do 11th hour transfers and don't really know it's called an 11th hour transfer. So we're here to talk about that today, to go over that with trustees so they don't get caught up in these things. Because these are real things, ladies and gentlemen. 11th hour transfers. Trustees are calling you the last 5 days of the year. The last 5 days of the year, they want to find out how to, or if they should do a distribution to the beneficiary. And then they want to know what's the best beneficiary to give to. Some trustees called the day before the last year, for the last day of the year. Trustees reached out at the end of the year here. Oh, Trust Christian, is that what you want? No, not at all. We understand that this is a mentality of some people that, you know, are they going to wait to the last minute to do a transfer, quote unquote, or a distribution, quote unquote? What are you waiting for? What are they waiting for? Uh, they're waiting for the wrong thing to happen instead of focusing on doing the right thing, knowing what the right position is, moving in the right position. Why don't trustees stay proactive with this mentality? Why would they wait to the last minute to do these type of things, a distribution or otherwise? What happened to having formal meetings previously set up? We can share with you. That's why they're waiting to the last minute, because they don't have consistent meetings set up. They don't have a consistent schedule set up. For all the trustees that think that, oh, Trust Christian, I just got to the end of the year and I didn't have a distribution. Yeah, because you haven't been having meetings. That's why. Y'all want to go there? Y'all want to talk about it? How are you going to live in trustee properly if you're not doing trustee minutes? You think you a trustee because you got a trust. That's what y'all want to talk like now? Oh man, I got a trust, so I'm a trustee. You're not even doing trust minutes. You're not having a trust meeting. That's why you had an 11th hour transfer. Why would you be having a meeting at the 11th hour, which means the last minute, if you have consistent meetings? Oh, Trust Christian, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about you all having consistent meetings. It's not, think about this. This is your family estate. And you don't have a meeting. You don't have a meeting once a month. You don't have a meeting every other week. You don't have a meeting every quarter. If you don't have those meetings, how are you going to prevent having a last minute mentality, an 11th hour mentality, 11th hour transfer mentality? You have that because you're not having meetings. You don't have the structure in place. That's what you get in trustee training for. Really, just Christian? That's why I'm getting trained. So you can know how to run the meetings properly. So you can actually understand the importance of the meetings and actually do the meetings instead of running around talking about, oh yeah, I got a trust, but I still got tax liability. Y'all want to go there? See, I think I could step over in the trust sector and say, oh, I still got tax liability. How you got tax liability? You in trust? Y'all want to go there, right? How? You're not supposed to own anything. You're supposed to be living in trust, right? Right. So why would you have a liability? Because you have job mentality. Not just 11th hour transfer mentality, job mentality. Do you have a system in place to minimize the liability? Or are you acting like, oh, I got a job. There's nothing I can do. They got to take taxes out the job. Of course. How are you trying, instead of you focusing on a offensive mindset, a growth mindset, they want to keep a job. And that job is stopping them from being the best trustee they could be. Oh, y'all don't want to hear that though. Yeah, the trustee is a job, but there's a difference working for yourself, quote unquote, the family estate, and working for somebody else's family estate. And not only that, for all y'all that want to sit out here, How you gonna say you moving in the right position when you moving from the improper position? You moving from having a social security number. For the ones of y'all out here, oh, I'm in trusteeship. I love the podcast, Trust Christian. I'm a podcast guy. I love the vault stuff. I love the trust stuff. But you got a job. When are you gonna step up your game and focus on building something for the family estate? We're not saying build a business. We're saying focusing on building estate. We know people that transition into trading, so that doesn't mean they created a business. Even though it's a different type of business. It's not a formal business. It's an investor. How many said that? Oh man, Trust Christian, what you mean, man? I've been mar. You know how hard it is to pivot from a job? That's because you said so. You know how hard it is to pivot? I just wanted to protect my assets. I just wanted to lower my liability. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a job, your creativity is being thwarted because you're doing things that don't foster creativity. You're doing the same thing every day. Nothing wrong with that because it's a job. Even in business, you want to do things, you want to put some routines, you want to put systems in place. The only thing is that in business as well, with you putting systems and routines, the bigger the problem, the more you get paid. That's what happens. You solve bigger problems. You solve big problems, you get paid bigger money. So if you don't have any problems to solve, your money not growing because you got to solve problems for more people or solve a bigger problem for the people that you're currently serving. It's not hard, but for some odd reason, you know, you think, oh man, I'm not going to build a business mentality. You got to build a business mentality. Somebody appreciate everybody for typing in, listening live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you tuned in live or listening to replay from. I always appreciate it for sure. This episode once again was about the 11th hour transfer. People playing with it, waiting till the last minute, and whether y'all know it or not, the fact that the money's in trusteeship, you're good. But you gotta do the meetings and structural things that are important, organizational things that is important. Bottom line, somebody said fiat is going to fail soon. The system is going down with it. This is why silver is coming back. The only money in this republic is 1 ounce silver ounce. Uh, you know, we could do a whole episode about the money thing, ladies and gentlemen, or what people consider fiat failing and all this other stuff. But, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, only poor people talk like that. Somebody might take that the wrong way, but we're just letting you all know, ladies and gentlemen. We sit in a room with what people consider the elites, the ones that you want to sit here and say are in control of the money supply, and that's not about to happen. And it's unfortunate because we've heard that argument for years, and people are operating out of fear. Y'all don't want to hear that type of mentality. Y'all not coming to Trust Christian. Y'all not. How you put money in Trust Christian pocket? How you put money in Trust Christian pocket? How? You paying with fiat. Do you pay everything with gold and silver? No. So what you talking about? You don't understand assets. Fiat is a current commodity. They still got pennies. They ain't out of circulation yet, even though they said they stopped making them. Right. And you're in a debt system. The system's built off a debt. How you going to condemn the system for being what it is? How you going to condemn the system for what it is? Because you don't know. Because you're ignorant. You don't understand modern money mechanics and how it's built on double entry bookkeeping. You don't understand accrual accounting. You don't understand that. But you want to sit here and say, oh, they're the paper fiat. Remember, the fiat is based off of your faith. Correct? But y'all want to sit here and say the money gonna fail. You want to know why the money gonna fail? Because you failed. Because you're a failure. That's why. The paper that we use is to allow us to get more things done. It's a instrument. It's a credit and a debit facilitating instrument. We're not looking, and ladies and gentlemen, don't take this the wrong Christian tone, trust Christian tone. Don't really care. Why? Because you're the one operating from a loser mentality, talking about the money that your ancestors have worked for. Your ancestors worked for the paper, correct? Right. You gonna say that's in vain? They provided for you a good life. We're not saying that it's the perfect system. We're saying it works. You got one of the strongest currencies in the world, and all we hear is Americans complaining about it. Oh man, the dollar's losing value. Duh. That's the way the money system works. Somebody says if it's not backed by anything, it's not sound money. Once again, what money in the world is backed by something? Since you want to go there, there is no money backed by anything in the world for a reason, a good one. It isn't, oh, because they needed to be backed by something. That's not the purpose of a paper financial instrument. Why would it need to be backed by anything? It's utilizing the faith, quote unquote, and the credit of the people. We're not saying that it's not some level of de facto money. We know it's de facto money. We can say that clearly on the podcast. But uh, bimetallism returns. Uh, we love this moment right now in history where gold is skyrocketed up. Last year, this daggone currency, this quote unquote form of capital asset, literally appreciated over 40% in 1 year. And most of you, most goofballs in the United States aren't even holding gold, but they want to sit here and tell you, "Oh well, you should have been holding gold and silver." Yeah, when did you buy gold? Gold passed 30 this year. Did you get in before 30? It's at over 50. Somebody said fiat has failed over and over. How? You're using it. Does it get debased? Sure. Does it go through a reassessment of it? Of course. That's how it works because they're utilizing debt. So once again, it just shows people have no they don't understand the way the money system is set up for it to work. You're a puppet. You're not the puppet master because you're not sitting in a room with the puppet masters. And when you sit in a room with the puppet masters, you understand it's as good as the poor people value it, not wealthy people. Wealthy people do own assets that are not fiat. It's poor people that hold majority of it, or middle class people. Middle class people build their life off of debt. But do you want to hear that fact, or you want to talk about the capital? See, they don't want to blame the people for the faith that they have in the currency. They want to say it's the government because they're printing it, when the government's not even printing it. They got a private organization printing it for your consumption, for your working hours, to get it, to buy a TV, to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy what you call expensive clothes. And see, that's another thing we'll address on this episode. We appreciate the conversation in the chat. They said they print it, buy your labor, and that's modern day slavery. Well, it's unfortunate, because we live in a universe that if you say you can, you can. And if you say you can't, you can't. What is that point for a trust Christian involved? Because people have an opposite mentality. They think that they can blame the government for their problems, for their financial situation, for the world's financial situation. And that's why you're a failure. Because as soon as you start blaming someone else, you're not taking responsibility for learning how to operate and succeed. You're trying to find a problem in the system. You want to know who's the problem? What's the problem? You and your thinking. You got to think to be rich. No one said work. You think wealthy people work for money? No. We know how to acquire assets. We know how to find great deals. Do you? Are you operating from a job, or did you create a business? Then there is no day. The day. That's all it is. Do you have a day mentality, or do you have it's a step up to the plate mentality and just figure it out? That's it. So we're here to share with you all today about this 11th hour transfer. because so many trustees reached out. It's the same thing. I'm gonna wait to the end of the year because they didn't tell me when I was supposed to make the transfer or the distribution. Well, if you actually set up a schedule like a business person, then you don't get to those things. So, how do you get around this, ladies and gentlemen? How do you get around the 11th hour transfer? 11th hour transfer mentality. We're just gonna recommend, ladies and gentlemen, you set up a formal meeting on Sunday nights, usually before the week starts, or you can do it Saturday in the morning. Those are generally some good time frames. We have quite a few trustee meetings with trustees on those times, Saturdays and Sundays, and that's when you're preparing for your next 7 days or you're preparing for whatever. Right now, you think about it. How you don't know when you're gonna give a distribution this year already? Are you gonna do it at the 30th of every month or the 28th of every month? When are you gonna give a distribution? Are you gonna do a distribution every quarter? Do you have goals for the family estate? Do you have goals for the family trust? Why do you think people waited till the last minute to do a distribution? Because they didn't have a goal of giving a distribution. Because if you have a goal, you're going to see the goal, you're going to look at the goal, you hit the goal, you do what you're supposed to do. Did they have a compelling enough goal? Do you have the goals for the family estate right now? So, once again, we just want to go ahead and make sure that trustees are aware of getting rid of this mentality. Making sure you don't have this mentality. Gutting this mentality out your mindset, which is, okay, don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait to the last minute at all. And many did, and many do. And they're like, "Oh, Trust Christian, can you get on the phone?" Like, what are you talking about? You're busy. How you gonna get somebody on the phone? But we're aware that's what happens every year. Can you take a phone call real quick? I just need to get on the phone and make sure that I don't make a mistake. On the second to the last day of the year, or the last 3 days before the end of the year, or 5 days, or even in the last month. Nothing wrong with the end of the month. But I mean, at the last month. But there's times during the month you got to make sure it's deposited before the business day is over. 11th hour transfer, ladies and gentlemen. Usually you won't see it like this. It'll probably be like a last minute transfer. Um, they usually, you can Google 11th hour transfers, and once again, we're talking about even distributions, not just transfers. Um, and understanding that 11th hour and why those last minute things, sure, they can happen. We even was sitting there with some trustees and was like, well, it's not the end of the world that you're doing a last minute transfer, but you're now you see why you're in this position is because you waited till the last minute instead of just saying, hey, like, in November, hey, I know this was going on, we need to go ahead and prepare for this. Once again, then we gonna tell y'all what the real problem is. Most people don't have a tax plan. Now look, for y'all regular people that aren't making more than 150 to $200,000 a year, you don't have a tax plan because you don't need a plan. You're not trying to lower your taxes. But for somebody that makes over $150,000 plus, they are trying to lower their taxes. And for all of you all that do make over $150,000 a year, you're supposed to have a tax plan. You have to have, especially if you have real estate, you have to have a tax plan because you're getting eaten up in employee taxes. You're getting eaten up, and you know it. So how do you avoid that? You gotta put. Why do you think athletes have foundations? Why do wealthy people have foundations? So they can lower their tax liability. So wouldn't you want to engage in such a path? Yeah, but you don't know you gotta have a tax plan. You think, oh, I could just go get a trust. We got one trustee. Oh yeah, I'm already in trust. Yeah, but you ain't got a tax plan. The family estate doesn't have a tax plan. You're still shooting in the dark. No tax plan. You gotta have a tax plan. So we just wanted to share with people today some of the things that we've encountered at the vault. We definitely appreciate, many people that, listen to the vault, people that reach out. We've had quite a few reach out at the end of the year last year. Even this year already, actually have someone reach out the first day of the year this year so they can make sure that they're right. And we look forward to continuously working with trustees. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com as well. We're going to type into the chat. We actually got a new website put together. Um, and so we'll go ahead and type that into the chat for you all. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you want to get yourself a tax plan going into the new year, do that for sure. Don't wait to the last minute. It's not even a question in our mind. Oh, trust Christian. What do you mean? What you mean? I'm gonna get a tax plan in place. Yeah, you gotta have a strategy. Oh man, that costs too much. So to lower your liability to nil or zero, an individual says that costs too much. That's how you know you're meant to be poor. You're not meant to be wealthy. Why? Because you're saying something that's going to help you put money in your pocket is a waste of money, or it's not a good use of your money, when the fact that it's going to help you make more money, it pays for itself. No, trust Christian. Don't tell me that because the upfront cost is what I'm looking at. No, you're not looking at the value creation. You're looking at the cost like a middle class or a poor person. You got to look at the prices of everything instead of focusing on, hey, you know what? What do I need to do to become more efficient and more effective? That means you got to have a tax plan in place. Man, that cost me a few $1,000s. Yeah, but you're not going to have to think about paying taxes anymore. Or and especially if you take things out of your name, you don't have it in your name. Hey, what can we tell people that don't understand the basics? And we're sharing it with you so you can understand it. You want to get a tax plan in place. That's how you know you ain't making no money because you ain't got a tax plan in place. Oh, Trust Christian, you serious? Well, everyone that we deal with on a serious level that takes their situation seriously, yes, they have a tax plan. If you want to sit here and say, oh, yeah, Trust Christian, yeah, I don't pay taxes because I'm in the private, you still, it's a form of a plan. It just may not be written on paper. The strategy is a plan. A strategy is a plan written on paper. It's a strategy. It's a plan. So just because you want to keep it simple, oh yeah, well I'm in the private, so I don't have to think about that. Yeah, but how many people are in the private? They don't have enough assets in the private to live off. The reason why even Trust Christian Revolt, we're in the public, is to acquire assets to take them into the private. So how's it wrong to be in the private? I mean, public. The public is for you to allow you to get assets. Look, we gonna for whoever's typing in the chat, we appreciate y'all typing into the chat. But if you're gonna bring a failure mentality to the table, we're gonna cut. We're just gonna go. We're gonna talk about you. Why? Because the system is what you think the system is. You're saying the system is failing and falling apart. What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. You hope that that's the case so you can be right. But if that's right, you're not going to be left with anything because you're not probably one of the people that has your own water supply. You probably don't have your own food supply, but these people want to sit here and actually wish the system goes down because they're failures. And for the ones of y'all that's listening that understands that, look, we just need to stay market neutral. It doesn't matter what market we're in. We're in India, we're in China. All these countries don't have the same they don't have the same financial system or government system. So for somebody to sit here and say free market economics, free enterprise, which has been the spur of pretty much modern day expansion in first world countries, you sitting over here talking about you're drinking bottled water and all this other stuff, and you're gonna say the system's failing. Sure, we're not going to say the system once again is we're not going to claim that it's perfect because people would then take it as, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. No, what we are saying is objectively, can it be better? Of course, everything can be better, but at the end of the day, the system is not failing, meaning that it's going to fall apart. This system is far from falling apart. This system has already outlived your poor grandparents. Y'all want to go there? It's outlived your poor grandparents. It's outlived your poor parents that you probably earn more money than, but you want to sit here and say the system failing. How are you making more money than your parents, but the system failing? And when we say more money, and we're not, and we understand that the paper's losing value, so you need more because of inflation. We can talk from that perspective. But do people talk from that perspective? No. They don't say I made more money than my parents. They don't want to admit it because maybe they didn't. But for the ones of us that have actually outperformed our parents, for you to sit here and say, for anyone else to sit here and say, oh yeah, the system's failing, it's not going to stay around. Why would we want a system that fails when we're living better than our parents? That's the mentality, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard Caucasians they got a lot of money for years sit here and try to say this that the system's gonna fail, and everybody else say the system's gonna fail, and 20 years later they're looking like fools. But people want to sit here and say the system's failing. We look forward to you all. We don't know if we'll see you at the top. We don't know where we're going to see you. But what we will say is we look forward to seeing you in the upper rooms where you're condemning, where we hear the decisions about what's getting done with the fiat that you're utilizing, the interest rates that are on the fiat, the amount that's going to be pumped into circulation. Most people don't even know that. But hey, we'll find out. And we always want to add this to the people that want to, talk about money as if they're God, quote unquote. Because remember, in God we trust, right? Right. So if you trust something outside of yourself, such as silver, why would they denominate it and measure it in dollars? It would have everything would be weighed against another form of currency. The silver should be weighed against another currency. Why is it labeled out in dollars? Why do you label it out in dollars? Why do they label it out in fiat? Because people don't understand that the fiat was actually to allow us to utilize more capital expansion than just using gold and silver. Gold and silver are commodities. It's like bread or it's like bread or eggs. Has bread and eggs been the same price your whole life? No. That's what it is, a commodity. The dollar may be going down, but for some odd reason, eggs are going up. Milk is going up. Right. Did silver do the same thing? Yeah, it's a commodity. But no one's saying that the inflation is not happening. We know that. The only question is, are you diversified in your portfolio? Do you only hold gold from the United States or silver from the United States? Do you hold other currencies? What are those other currencies that you hold? We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Don't be one of them families that wait till the last minute to get your family in order. You can feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. We look forward to hearing from you all. You want to get started in trustee training, get some consulting sessions, make sure that you're on the right path, make sure you got some right tools, make sure you got some right resources. Ladies and gentlemen, we done have over 600, 700 episodes now. We are so thankful for all the listeners throughout the years that have listened to the podcast. We look forward to continuously disseminating the information, doing our best to be righteous in the process, and sharing with the people. This was a podcast that Trust Christian started really to educate African indigenous descent people. We saw that there was a massive gap in the marketplace. We could sit here and make reaction videos all day if we wanted to, based off of the public ignorance that's in the marketplace. Some people could say, "Oh, Trust Christian, you sound like you're an elitist, or you sound like you're in the you're an agent or some BS like that." It's like, well, Trust Christian is just going along with the system. If you don't want to go along with the system, then clearly you're going to get wiped out. You don't understand how powerful the system is, and the fact that you're going up against the system and you don't have a system. We already know who's operating successfully, because you cannot go up against the system and not have a system and be successful. The other system is successful because it's a system. It's not just something you piecemeal together. It's not a maybe. It's not a try. It's an actual cohesive unit that's operating harmoniously. and continuously, and does it regardless of a personality. It's more based off of the function of the tool itself. But people want to sit here and say, oh yeah, free market economics, that's bad. Where you want to go live at? Where you going to go live at? Where you going to live your life at? You can go right now because free market says you don't have to stay here. There are other countries you just can't leave. Y'all so free in America that y'all don't want to leave. Well, why would I go somewhere? My ancestors from here. What difference does it make? Don't you use the BS line that you like traveling? So why would you want to go somewhere else? Why you gotta stay where your ancestors at? Once again, we're not gonna get into stupid arguments. We're focused on building something for your family estate. You build something for your family estate by focusing on being an asset to the system. Not talking about it's gonna fail. If the system is gonna fail, that means it's a liability to you right now. And that's the importance of focusing on actually acquiring assets. They aren't always fiat based. Yeah. We appreciate the conversations. Appreciate the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chatting into typing into the chat. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the 11th hour transfer, that was the focus of this episode. Uh, you know, it, people want to talk about things off topic. We appreciate that sometimes, but we're going to stay on topic for the people that actually are going to listen to this in the replay. They want to focus on the 11th hour transfer. Make sure that they don't get caught up in this mentality and they're actually focused on execution of, consistent meetings, having the right mindset towards those things and things of that nature. So we look forward to hearing from you all. Peace and joy.